Welcome to Focus on Scholarship. My name is Jerry Pogachnik. I'm Dean of the Graduate School and Associate Vice President for Research here at Eastern Kentucky University. This series is a collaborative project between the Office of Graduate Education and Research and the university libraries. Our goal is to bring a focus and awareness to the exciting scholarly and creative activities of our academic community. Our guest today is Dr. Melinda Wilder, professor in the Department of Curriculum and Instruction and director of the Division of Natural Areas. Melinda has done extensive work with teachers in advancing the STEM disciplines through her environmental research. As director of the Natural Areas, she also coordinates a broader range of activities in support of environmental research and environmental education. Welcome, Melinda.
Thank you.
I'm sure many of our university communities aren't really aware of the Division of Natural Areas and the role that they play within Eastern Kentucky University. Can you tell me a little bit about the natural areas and what they bring to our students and our faculty?
Sure. The Division of Natural Areas is made up of basically three different components. One is the Environmental Research Institute, which was established 3 years ago through a National Science Foundation grant. Another one is the Center for Environmental Education, which was established about 6 years ago through a Department of Education grant. And then we have the Physical Nature Preserves, or natural areas. We have two of those that we're responsible for managing. One is Lilley Cornett Woods, which is in Letcher County. It's 552 acres. 252 of those are old growth forest, which means that it has not been logged in a significant amount of years. Another one is Maywoods in Garrett and Rockcastle County, and we have 1,700 acres there.
Apart from the Decatl Study, which I'm going to get to in just a moment, I know that there's been a number of research and service activity projects that are taking place within the Division of Natural Areas. Can you tell us a little bit about these? Maybe tell us about the faculty and students are involved and your role in coordinating these activities, and give us just a general idea of the work that's going on there.
Okay, well, I'll start with research first. I took over this position 4 years ago, and in those 4 years we have increased the research from 5 projects to 18 this past year. Many of those projects I have to credit the junior faculty members who have become interested in our natural areas and the research there, including those in the biology department and geography and geology department. One of the biggest projects going on is the Research Experience for Undergrads, which is a National Science Foundation grant we have in conjunction with the University of Kentucky. And that has provided money for 8 undergraduates and 3 teachers to do research down in Lilley Cornett Woods and the surrounding area, looking at carbon cycling and how that's affected by land uses. These faculty members, of course, are including their graduate students and doing several of the research projects. So, for example, Dr. David Brown and his graduate students are looking at whether the bird species change as the hemlock woolly adelgid impacts the ecosystems. Another significant study we have being done by Dr. Neil Peterson, and that looked at fire records within the old growth forest. And through that research we have found that the trees at Lilley Cornett Woods are close to 400 years old, some of them. Some other sort of service projects we do, we get involved very much with the local schools. And many local schools bring their students out to Maywoods and to Lilley Cornett Woods for environmental education activities. This past year we've had over 2,000 school children in our natural areas, and we take time to teach them about different habitats and how their actions affect those habitats. In addition, through the Center for Environmental Education, we actually go out into schools and mentor teachers in how to use the environment to teach their content. So we work with math teachers, language arts teachers, science teachers, and help them use the environment to teach their content areas.
That's really fantastic. I want to spend a couple minutes now talking about the Decatl study that's going on at Lilley Cornett Woods. I understand that that's an ongoing project. It's something that's unique in not only this part of the country, but I think nationally. Could you just tell us a little about how that project started, why it's important, and the plans for continuing it this year?
Sure. The project started back in 1971. Lilley Cornett Woods was first acquired by the state for preservation in 1969. In 1971, Dr. William Martin began the Decatl Study, where he put in 135 permanent plots and recorded the vegetation structure and composition. Then in 1981, 1991, and 1999, the same study was repeated to look at changes over time in the different plots. Again, looking at the vegetation, structure, and composition. This year, we like to continue that, and so we're getting funding and help from, again, Dr. Neil Peterson, Dr. Ryan McEwen from the University of Dayton, and hopefully Dr. Shannon Galbraith Kent, who was the last graduate student to have done this work. She's now at Thomas More.
On another front, recently you received notification that your environmental education program has been accredited by NCATE, if I believe. I understand this is one of the few programs in the country that have achieved this accreditation. Can you tell us about this most recent achievement?
NCATE is the organization that accredited education programs, and just recently, through the efforts of the North American Association for Environmental Education has also become an accredited area. So this past fall was the first time environmental education programs throughout the United States could be accredited by NCATE, and we were one of 3 who submitted for accreditation, and we did receive that national recognition.
You've talked about a lot of activities that are going on at the natural areas and within your area. Obviously, these make a huge impact on our communities and our region. Could you tell us just a little bit more about how you've viewed natural areas fitting into the university mission, particularly with regard to our regional stewardship activities?
I believe a lot of what we do is regional stewardship, starting with the basic idea of we preserve. We have been in the practice of preserving native species and native landscapes. So for example, down at Lilley Cornett Woods, the mixed metaphysic forest you find there has the largest biodiversity of any temperate ecosystem. And so we have preserved that for people to see and use and understand in the future. In addition, with 1,700 acres and the wildlife refuge at Maywoods, we are preserving that area for not only people but wildlife and wild species. So that in and of itself is regional stewardship. Then the other things we do as far as research, through the Environmental Research Institute, there's been a lot of studies on the water quality in eastern Kentucky, which we know is very important for the health of a region, not only the health of the people, but economic development as well. So we're contributing to the information base in eastern Kentucky, especially having to do with water quality. And then of course when we go out into the schools and work with the schools, that is providing education throughout our service region to help young folks as well as their teachers. We do a lot of professional development for the teachers in the area to help them understand their environment and help them learn how to treat it respectfully.
That's it for this edition of Focus on Scholarship. I'd like to thank our guest, Melinda Wilder, for sharing the highlights of her work and the ongoing research and service initiatives in the Division of Natural Areas. Please join us next time as we continue our series of webcasts celebrating the scholarly and creative activities of the faculty and staff at Eastern Kentucky University.